Many Jedi raised their blades to the Sith Lord Darth Vader, but very few were ever successful. Vader simply possessed a raw power in the Force that many Jedi could not even comprehend, not to mention his experience over the Clone Wars, as well as hunting Jedi during the events of Order 66 and the Great Jedi Purge. Fighting Vader was nearly insurmountable. He was simply more gifted, stronger, more experienced, more skilled, and had a raw understanding of the dark side of the Force no Jedi before him could understand. Darth Vader was in the upper echelon of Force wielders and lightsaber duelists that have ever existed in Star Wars, his only ever true rivals being the greatest members of the Jedi Order during the Clone War: Yoda, Mace Windu, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. The list literally stops there. However, shortly following the events of Order 66, Darth Vader was actually defeated by a Jedi, and not even a Jedi Master, a very unsuspecting Jedi who formulated a plan and actually held a blade to Darth Vader's throat, with the ability to kill him right there. And today, we will discuss her story, and unfortunately, why she was unsuccessful, but still managed to defeat one of the greatest and most powerful Sith Lords in galactic history. Before we begin though, according to my analytics, a lot of you guys that watch the channel haven't subscribed yet. So if you've been enjoying the content and would like to see more, force choke that subscribe button. Today, we will be discussing the story of Bulthar Swan. Swan was a Jedi that served before the outbreak of the Clone Wars. Swan excelled at martial arts, and she later completed her fighting techniques with a strong lightsaber defense under the tutelage of Jedi Master Plo Koon, who was widely renowned as perhaps the second greatest duelist of his era, just behind Yoda. Dedicated to her beliefs, Swan was respected within the Jedi Order for her record of never having killed an opponent prior to the outbreak of the Clone Wars. Because of this, Swan was repeatedly and frequently sent to peacekeeping missions, due to her diplomacy despite her immense skill in martial arts and lightsaber combat. Graceful, athletic, and acrobatic, Swan was a skilled Jedi Knight whose ability to use the Force was spotted at an early age. She developed an interest in unarmed combat techniques early in her Jedi training, and excelled in the technique of Teräs Käsi. Her style required her to maintain physical contact with her foes in order to allow them to judge their next move, and her mastery of the two disciplines allowed her to defeat opponents with ease without having to ever kill them. Prior to the Clone Wars, again, Swan had never taken a life, despite having been involved in a dozen combat encounters. When fighting an opponent, Swan would remain still and entice her foe to attack. She would then strike forward with awesome speed, blurring her complex routine of moves into a whirl of motion. Swan was then able to blend this style with Plo Koon's emphasis on defense, creating a lightsaber juggernaut. Swan developed a fluid and acrobatic combat style. In combat, she would use her lightsaber to block attacks while seeking an opportunity to disarm her foe. She would then rain punches and kicks on her unarmed opponent until they eventually surrendered. Her methods in lightsaber combat were greatly influenced by her profound interest in martial arts. Swan was an incredible fighter, and managed to survive the Geonosian battle arena in Attack of the Clone, that was the offshoot of the Clone Wars conflict, something that very few Jedi actually managed to succeed in doing, and there were only ever 2 Padawans that survived the Battle of Geonosis, despite at the time Swan being a knight. Still though, an incredible feat. Not to mention that Bulthar Swan survived all of the Clone Wars conflict until Order 66 was initiated, and even managed to survive Order 66 itself. Of all of the Jedi that served the Order at the time, Bulthar Swan definitely stood a chance against Lord Vader. One of the major reasons for this is Lord Vader was not completely acclimated to his armor at the time that he would fight Bulthar Swan, as Vader didn't necessarily reach his peak until about a year after Order 66 was initiated, and struggled a great deal in his early months as a Sith Lord. Coming up against an opponent as skilled and quick as Bulthar was definitely a challenge for the Sith Lord, as we'll discuss. Bulthar Swan was at the med station tending to wounded soldiers when Chancellor Palpatine revealed himself to Skywalker as Darth Sidious, the Dark Lord of the Sith, and reorganized the Galactic Republic into the Empire, with Skywalker, now named Darth Vader, as his new Sith apprentice. Sidious had been manipulating and stacking his odds against both sides of the war, and he had Skywalker murder every single member of the Separatist Council and shut down all Separatist battle droids, while Palpatine himself ordered all clone troopers to murder their Jedi generals. Jedi across the galaxy were shot and killed, but Swan managed to escape execution when other healers at the med center warned her of the clones' order. giving her the briefest of windows to escape. With the war over, the remaining Jedi were scattered and leaderless. Swan was nevertheless contacted by Jedi Master Shadea Potkin a month later, who wanted to organize as many Jedi as possible into a forced counterattack against the Sith. First though, Swan went on a mission to retrieve her Jedi Master, Tisu Choi, who she found on the planet of Iriadu, assisting her Jedi Master in killing the clones that were hunting him. Arriving at an abandoned mine on the rocky planet, they were met by Potkin, who introduced them to 5 other Jedi that had been invited to the meeting: Kofi Arana, Rob Lil Darte, Justice Far, Makisis Shalas, and Sai Lan Wez. A discussion began regarding the current galactic situation and their responsibilities as Jedi. Many Jedi in the room advocated to hunting and killing the Sith, but Swan held firm that revenge was not the Jedi way. However, it was revealed that Potkin already had a plan to capture Lord Vader, forcing him to fall into a trap where he would be forced to confront 8 Jedi. Potkin revealed that she had lured Vader to this very meeting, forcing all of the Jedi present to fight. Darth Vader stormed the room, acting on intelligence that he believed Obi-Wan Kenobi was present. Quickly, Vader dispatched 3 of the Jedi, including Potkin, and managed to deactivate the lightsabers of 3 others using the Force. As he prepared to finish them, Swan and Choi emerged from hiding, respectively slashing the Sith Lord's leg and amputating his sword arm, managing to catch him utterly off guard. Thanks to her superior speed, she was able to cut the Sith Lord's blade from his very hand. Vader then surrendered to the Jedi, but the Jedi Arana suspected a trap and ordered Swan to kill Vader where he stood. Swan was unwilling to strike down an unarmed opponent, as she had never done so before, prompting Arana to seize her weapon and stab her with it and attack Vader. In this moment of fear, Swan was betrayed by one of the Jedi that she fought beside. Swan unfortunately would die of her injuries, as the Jedi Arana embraced the dark side in order to kill Vader, putting revenge against the very life of one of her closest friends and one of the Jedi that had the greatest chances of defeating Vader. Swan would die of her injuries. Arana was quickly killed when Vader telekinetically impaled him with his cortosis blade. Vader took up Swan's lightsaber to continue the fight, and killed the remaining 3 Jedi with the aid of the 501st Legion Imperial Stormtroopers who had quickly arrived. To add insult to injury, the Empire would actually publicly explain that Swan was killed by one of her fellow Jedi in a power struggle, to show how desperate and dangerous the Jedi had become. The memory of Boltar Swan was passed through the public as a Jedi who was desperate for power in a dying order, despite the fact that in reality, Swan, along with her Jedi Master, managed to defeat Lord Vader in combat, and catch the Sith Lord utterly off guard, refusing to kill Lord Vader when she had the chance, a decision that would ultimately cost her her life. Anyway, my friends, had you heard the tale of Boltar Swan before this video? And what are your thoughts on the Jedi that managed to defeat Vader in combat, but ultimately died herself when she refused to kill him? As always,